Really quickly, before we get into today's video, I would like to thank my patrons who are effectively keeping the channel afloat while I have no income. If you would like to become one, please feel free to check the description below, but in the meantime, please enjoy the video.
Hey Tim, just calling again to remind you that you're 2 months behind on rent. I'd really hate to have to take action, but...
Calling you from the vet's office. We regret to inform you that despite our best efforts, we couldn't do anything to save him.
An event so shocking, it may finally force America to address its gun laws. But above all else, it was a desperate tragedy for those caught inside these walls on a festive Friday morning. Within minutes, heavily armed SWAT teams...
Sometimes real life sucks. Hi, Tim Shields, Zaya America. You know, when I was a child, I never really put much thought into what I wanted my future to be. I had a vague idea of wanting to educate, but I couldn't stand other people. Maybe I could write a webcomic on the side, I don't know. I never really thought that filmmaking would be an attainable possibility. It's amazing the way that technology has advanced, eh? It's weird how the world has a way of holding our dreams hostage, of beating us into submission by dangling them like carrots. Corporate algorithms further a widening gamut between new and established creators, and there doesn't seem to be any way for the individual to overcome that. It's nice to escape into fantasy, sure, but can it potentially offer any real solutions? When I was younger, I had a very contentious relationship with the works of the director Takashi Miike. You're likely familiar with his work. He's very prolific, even over here in the West. Audition, Ichi the Killer, the Great Yokai War, the Yakuza movie, even offerings as recent as Blade of the Immortal 2019, which I've already been previously underwhelmed by. It's safe to say that at least in regards to quantity, he's practically, as an example, the Stephen King or R.L. Stine of Japanese extreme horror cinema, with his filmography numbering into the hundreds. For a long time, I was content to disregard his work. Entries like Visitor Q and Imprint struck me as being edgy for the sake of edginess, and as a child, I felt that they more often than not existed purely for the sake of exploitation. However, upon perusing my tokusatsu library in an attempt to improve my mood in light of recent events, I've discovered that I've perhaps spoken too hastily, making me thankful yet again that I grew up in an age before the proliferation of social media, where my stupid hot takes as a child would be permanently indelible. Miike's work, as mean-spirited as it can admittedly be, is also incredibly varied. The man has tackled genre entries from tokusatsu fantasy to hard crime thriller, to comic book action to slice-of-life sex dramas and romantic comedies. It was silly of me to watch a few of his movies and disregard his work entirely, but such is the folly of youth. It made me think if tokusatsu is about self-criticism, then the first real step of my journey here as a critic of the medium would be to deconstruct my own pre-existing biases about what tokusatsu can or can't be. It would be outright ignorant to pretend that this genre is limited to the works of Ishinomori or Tsuburaya, neither of whom are actually involved in the production of any of my favorite entries. With this in mind, and having a sudden urge to distract myself from the cosmic horror of surviving in 2022, I thought it would be worthwhile to take a trip back in time and rediscover an old rival of mine in Zebra Man. But first... Yeah, I mean, Casablanca's pretty good, but have you seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer? I just think that what Joss Whedon did for women is hella impressive. Oh my god, you're me. Oh my god, you're so old. I like your suit. Thank you. You see, as I've grown up, I've changed. No longer do I feel the need to play cringing adolescent, scraping the bottom of the outrage bucket for something incisive to say about every piece of media that I consume in place of a personality. You have the Dragon Ball manga in color? And if I'm able to change, then perhaps so is my perspective on the media that I have previously consumed. They made more Alien and Predator Except those, they suck! Personally, I find Zebra Man to be a fascinating examination of the tokusatsu fanbase and the repression of identity in adult society. Whereas I think that it's the biggest pile of donkey dicks since Rule 34 debuted. I'd rather drink. Forgive him, he thinks this is what criticism is. Let's talk about Zebra Man. A detective of sorts named Oikawa discusses the current state of crime in the streets of Japan, which is skyrocketing amongst weird incidents of mass animal deaths and migrations. Another much meeker man, Ichikawa, sits in his home, creating a cosplay outfit as aliens are revealed to be unleashed on the planet. Our detective, Oikawa, and his co-worker pretend to be gay as they head to their undercover base, monitoring the unusual events playing out on screen. I like this because it's subtle but very Kamen Rider to have casual intimacy between men, but the real-world setting complicates it as Oikawa's co-worker becomes uncomfortable and overexpresses his masculinity as compensation for his bigotry. It's almost like Miike is making a point about the fragility of the pubescent audiences that these shows are aimed at, which is something that is both later picked up on in this film and surprisingly comprises the basis of the sequel. Our protagonist, Ichikawa, is shown to be a complete failure, both as a father and as a student teacher, unable to prevent even his own son being bullied over his association to such a basic milquetoast loser. He's seeking a transfer to another school district to spare his son the shame of everyone seeing them together, as his middle school daughter heads out to meet a pedophile that she met online. Bro, this is hella awkward. God, I forgot about the hella phase. His wife arrives to see the situation, giving the daughter the cash that she is asking for before heading to bed herself, exhausted from a night of cheating on her husband. It's an overwhelmingly brutal reality and a cold slap in the face to the traditionally comfortable sanctuaries that are the rider bases and the Sentai HQs. It's probably a good time to point out that this was produced by Toei, and I think it's very interesting how much of an influence it seems to have had on specifically Kamen Rider moving forward. Plus, Decade shows up in the sequel, so that's funny or something, right? Like, so this is the world of zebras. No, stupid. Fucking Humagears. Ichikawa retreats to his tiny den to work on cosplay and watch Showa Tokusatsu. To decompress, he dresses like his childhood hero, Zebra Man, reenacting all of his special moves before his suit tears due to inaccurate measurements that he made because he was distracted watching his show while he took them. Jeez, what a weeb. What? At school the next day, Ichikawa is introduced to the new transfer student, Shinpei Asano. His boss, Meguro, calls him out for being stunned in front of the kid upon discovering that he's disabled, as he fucking should. Shinpei's mother reassures Ichikawa that he should be treated as any other student, in order to keep the other kids from resenting and bullying him for receiving special treatment for being literally disabled. An intensely political take to drop in just a few short sentences. They discuss the initial shock of the diagnosis and Shinpei's father having passed, something which will come into play later. She's right, life shouldn't give him special treatment just because he was dealt a bad hand. Get over it. Spoiler alert, you drop out of college because you're autistic and you can't focus on all of the subjects that you aren't interested in that are required for your prospective degrees. Oh. Ichikawa's daughter meets with a creepy old fucker in the actual literal sense this time, who is revealed to be a Shin Kamen Rider style kaijin with a crab mask in his bag that I assume makes him the dark ending for Scissors. Ichikawa's daughter vents about her chaotic home life while preparing to cater to her John's underage schoolgirl fetish. All I'm going to say is that the timing of this rewatch juxtaposed against Oni Sister's 17-year-old actress's debut and the subsequent tokusatsu audience's reaction to it was uncanny. We'll say uncanny. It's very clear that she's seeking a replacement for the lack of a father figure in her life, which carries very traditional values behind it, but mostly exists to reinforce how little Ichikawa lives up to the expected Japanese masculine standard of 2004, and reflects the idea that this is a world where the vulnerable are exploited, and the next generation is systemically disenfranchised by the former. These traditional values are those of Ichikawa as a Showa Rider fan, and not necessarily Miike himself or the film, as he shows a lot more respect to Kana and the women in the sequel outside of Ichikawa's internal narrative. Ichikawa falls off the roof posing, we've all been there, and gets a little very drunk to dull the pain of both the experience and his daily life. This movie is so grungy. I love how oppressive even the environments of this movie are. Ichikawa is imprisoned in the bleak reality of his existence that is personified by even his own home. He's trapped in this perspective because this perspective is his entire lot in life. Yeah, it's like Boondock Saints. At school, Ichikawa cringes his way through his students' essay assignments, noticing Shinpei drawing a figure of Zebraman on his desk. They spend time together between classes, with Asano wondering why Ichikawa has so much free time to patronize him because children aren't stupid. Ichikawa reveals he doesn't have much going on personally, and they bond over their shared love of Zebraman, a Showa Tokusatsu series. Why is this movie so fucking cheesy? No, it's exactly right. They must have used ancient cameras to recreate this aesthetic, and he's even doing the Kamen Rider Black Fist Clench. The thesis of the series is that a dream comes true if you believe in it. Zebraman was never hugely popular in universe because he wasn't very flashy and his theme song was a little outdated. But Asano appreciates the similarities between the two, both being teachers, calling Ichikawa cool despite his opening up about his securities prior. The pair realize it's 2010, the year the show was set, and Ichikawa, in a moment of genuine connection with somebody for the first time in presumably years, asks to be friends with Shinpei. Gay. You're gay. You're gay! Right, yes, we're the same person. We're both queer, dude. I hate you! You buy yaoi at Borders every weekend. How is this a surprise? Ichikawa makes a really cool point here about how Zebraman was designed to be accessible to kids who only had black and white TVs, and I think that's really neat and ties nicely into both Shinpei and Ichikawa, both denied social privilege, being the core audience. A helpless superhero in a world without superheroes, the disabled kid who doesn't get to magically transform his way out of his wheelchair woes, a father who can't control his family or his job, teachers scrounging on the leftovers of children that they chase home with manufactured fear of child predators. Ironic given that home provides no such shelter to Ichikawa's own daughter. What I mean is, this is as valid a reinterpretation as Kuga in modernizing Rider, albeit with a much more depressing outlook on the state of the world. Ichikawa sits in the teacher's office, humming the Zebraman theme to himself and reviewing his costume designs as Principal Meguro calls his name. He's assigned student curfew patrol, being partnered with an overenthusiastic younger teacher. The pair head out, with his partner sending adult former students home on the misogynistic premise that he's protecting them from sexual assault preemptively by restricting their bodies, before he proceeds to steal their leftovers. It's very dignified. He then goes on a rant about how he assaulted a woman for being trans in public, which Ichikawa, being a good boy, can't really rectify. It's made clear through powerhouse acting and incredible camera work that Ichikawa is distressed by this. He ditches the shithead, going home to dress in his Zebraman outfit. Looking in the mirror, he smiles. That kicks ass. I love how often Ichikawa pushes back against people's preconceived biases against the disenfranchised, the othered, even before the movie really gets going. He's just a really sweet dude and refuses not to be, even as the world tries to beat it out of him. And that's incredibly Kamen Rider. It's neat to see him ditch this dude to go play by himself by escaping into the simpler Showa world, where villains are honest about their evil instead of casually springing it on you like that. It reminds me of how Toma from Saber interacts with children before he becomes a writer. His outfit looks stupid. Oh yeah, well, wait till we get to Aruto. That's gonna sting once he understands that joke. So... Excited to show off his work, Ichikawa looks up Shunpei's address in the student register, heading over in full costume despite the time because his family is out ignoring him again. Realizing the pair are out as well, he retreats, cowering in the nearby bus stop and thinking about how the people at his job will judge him if he's seen. It's very clear Ichikawa is empathizing with the plight of the aforementioned trans woman that his coworker assaulted, with said coworker being front and center in his fantasy about being fired over his deviant attire. Suddenly, a woman's scream pierces the night. He pursues the source of the yell, Asano seeing him running and following. Ichikawa stumbles onto the serial killer the news keeps mentioning, his daughter's adult-ass boyfriend, who approaches and asks who he is. Ichikawa, stunned, refers to himself as Zebra Man, and the crab proceeds to attack him. It's clear that he has some sort of supernatural ability, but as he throws his boomerang shears, Kamen Rider Scissors confirmed by the way, Zebra Man instinctively dodges in unnatural ways, an early indication of his powers developing. The two engage in a brawl as Ichikawa's daughter wonders where her gross date is. Brothel Detective Oikawa notices activity and heads over as Zebraman uses his zebra screw punch to kill the crabman. He arrives on the scene just after Ichikawa departs, seeing Asano by the corpse, which has a pulsating green ooze inside the wound that Zebraman left. The next day is filled with small epiphanies for Ichikawa as he silently witnesses the fallout of the events, which are being hidden from the public in regards to mainstream news outlets because the government controls those. We see that Zebraman is beginning to develop a sort of zebra sense, if you will, detecting danger outside and heading out to pursue it without a second thought. I love so much that being able to detect bullshit is one of his superpowers, as he's clearly demonstrated a proclivity towards it. An unusual human with glowing green eyes conducts arson under cover of night, when suddenly he notices what is honestly one of the most intimidating things that I've ever seen appearing in the heights to stare him down. Can I borrow some pants? Did you pee? I did. Nice. Same. The man flees and Zebraman pursues, murdering him off-screen with a back kick that leaves one hell of a mess. The detectives take a closer look before ordering the corpse burned. Oh my god! He kicked his head backwards. The following day at school, Asano is interviewed by the detective and his cohorts, with them being revealed to be the Defense Department. Meguro immediately stiffens to him, calling this out as unusual and suspicious. The agent dismisses it, and Meguro freaks out at him, knowing full well the dangers haunting the streets and doing everything he can to protect the children in his charge from it. Meguro is a badass. I wish my principal was like this, but instead he got caught having sex with the gym teacher's wife. I remember that they got caught by the gym teacher because they did it at school in his office. Ichikawa and Shunpei hang out, and Shunpei shows Ichikawa how to use nya.iss to download all of his favorite Toei Tokusatsu series for free through torrents because they won't unclaim my fucking wizard essay. Teachers often have to navigate real-world trauma in their students as well as classwork on minimal salaries, which is demonstrated, I think, quite well through Ichikawa's interactions with Shunpei and Miss Asano in this film. Speaking of which, at dinner with the Asanos, Ichikawa realizes that he's developing a zebra diet and eating more vegetables over meat as Principal Meguro furiously tapes over the gym at the school. He's using red tape, so it should also be safe against the internet ghosts from Pulse, haha. Ichikawa and Kana Asano put Shunpei to bed, discussing their relationship statuses. Kana reveals the way that their father left them was by his own hand, if you know what I mean. His partner made a mistake one day, and it was enough to push him over the edge quite literally. Shunpei discovered the body, and in response, his own shut down. Nope. This one is Shinpei. Shinpei is the one from Wizard. Which Wizard? Harold Potter? No. This Showa reaction shot, that's immaculate. Ichikawa has a dream about being attacked by a giant enemy crab, Genji style, and being rejuvenated by Kana Asano as his partner, Zebra Nurse. It's super Freudian in a way that I think hits incredibly close to home to the male pubescent tokusatsu fanbase, and Ichikawa wakes up, realizing that his life is still shit despite having just seen some titties, or perhaps even because of just having seen some titties. They do a jump cut to a quarry in the middle of the fight scene joke, which I always appreciate. I mean, I know we've seen it a million times, but I mean, had we seen it a million times in 2004? Because, like, I feel like this series is kind of the progenitor of a lot of weird modern trends in Heisei Rider, and I think that that's really fascinating, but honestly, we should probably talk about that next video. After we have the full context of both films. I think that'll be a more fulfilling experience. Yeah. So Zebra Nurse has a hypersexualized outfit because Ichikawa has been deprived of sex for so long due to his wife's infidelity, which is just playing right off of the inceldom often exhibited towards female actors in the tokusatsu genre by the communities of these shows, which will be explored further in the frankly fantastic sequel. No, that's actually a very real problem. Lots of women don't want to have sex with me. Yeah, do you talk to any? Do you talk to any women? No. I'm shocked. Mean. I don't know, that's just such a dark concept for me on every level. The juvenile fetishization of the one woman in his life showing him attention, the surrogate child that he prefers to his own, the dead enemy crab that they're just eating. It's magnificently bleak, but somehow still a respite for Ichikawa, magnifying to us how broken his life really is, at least in his eyes. It's utterly bizarre. What follows is a montage of Zebraman murdering rapists to his Showa theme song, and it is honestly my new favorite scene in all of cinematic history. The bar has been raised. This is the new gold standard that you want to hit with your movie. Asano is interviewed again, with Meguro present, obviously, and accidentally reveals he knows what Zebraman is before Meguro offers him a subtle out. As the agent heads off, Ichikawa tries to tell him to leave Asano alone. He's ignored and slaps the phone out of Oikawa's hand, and the agent gets fed up, throttling him, revealing he's incredibly stressed and the town is fucked. Back at Defense Department headquarters, during a weird alien bath pool meeting thingy, Oikawa raises the idea of citywide evacuation, and his superiors effectively shut him down. He gets frustrated and quits to pursue the matter on his own terms. He's clearly feeling the same sense of helplessness as Oikawa, and also some fucker comes in to take a bath? What is happening in this scene? Meguro transfers Asano and Ichikawa, trying to protect them from something. Ichikawa accuses him of being suspicious the past few months, hiding something, taping up the gym, implementing mandatory safety lessons for the students. Meguro is pressured as Ichikawa's hair suddenly goes off in a hilarious comedy beat, retrieving his outfit and ducking out to go fight crime. Meguro in pursuit as the entire dynamic is shift 180 degrees. Zebra senses. Why is that cool to you? Why are spider senses cool to you? What do you care? Zebra senses are an expression of the protagonist's compassion for other people who are also miserable. They're Ichikawa spending time with Asano and learning about his insecurities and pratfalls as a disabled person. His talking to Kana about her dead husband and the trauma that carries. His awareness of his failure as a father brought to life through his power set. We see a busload of evil children driving to a real-life celery man led by Ichikawa's own son, Kazuki. Meguro races to the gym thinking that's where Zebraman was headed, but discovering only a leak where the alien jelly is seeping out. The kids roll up hard, destroying the Veggieman's stand and wares. I love this scene of Zebraman just rolling up in full cosplay to the utter bewilderment of every other person at the scene. Like, this dude 1000% thinks that he just wandered onto like a local hero filming. What's a local hero? Oh, it's people who dress up like OC Henshin heroes and do charity work around their communities, things like that. Oh, that's really cool. This is a really good question. How would one handle a band of kids driven violent without further violence? A caricature of Zebraman's fears of his own son becoming more masculine than him. A youth utterly desensitized to the idea of family due to growing up surrounded by chaos and people disrespecting each other. A knife in a child's hands is still a knife. I'd just kick his ass. What's this little kid gonna do? Ha 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 ha. Oh my goodness, that's so funny and clever and original. How do you get such cool, fresh ideas? You're so edgy. Oh my goodness. You're a real wild card, huh? Ichikawa's kid breaks off with his father pursuing and eventually pinning him. Zebraman unmasks himself to Kazuki and the alien is ejected, implying that his emotional honesty with his son is what liberated him, with his child awed by the idea that his father was there for him for once during an emotional meltdown. A person he never respected before due to his inaction has become a hero due to his action. Zebraman pursues the ejected flubber, which has taken flight as if sentient. Meguro jumps off the gym stage, not realizing the floor is lava, and is dragged below. Across Japan, we can see the aliens making their move. With the immediate threat resolved, Ichikawa goes to see his nurse friend Miss Asano. She patches him and Kazuki up, revealing that she's deduced his identity. He's visibly ashamed, telling her about his dream from earlier, how she saved him when he was in danger, and how it's happened now in real life, confirming to him that he's fighting aliens. He asks her to keep his identity secret from Shinpei so it doesn't ruin his hero to know that he's just the washed-up loser that Ichikawa thinks that he is. The two have a brief romantic moment, my heart does a little flip, the scene ends, and it's better than it has any right to be, showing me Kei's ability extends to more than just ultra-violence. At work the next day, Ichikawa pays his respects to the dead Meguro, who leaves him a key in an envelope addressed to him. Oikawa is set up in a tiny neat box, keeping surveillance on Meguro next door, and he intercepts Ichikawa, who is investigating Meguro's home. Entering, Oikawa and Ichikawa find the scripts to Zebraman, the Showa series. What? Oh, it's a joke about how Ishinomori would get a little meta sometimes. Oh, like Deadpool. Sure. As he pores over the scripts, Ichikawa recognizes that they're based around the events of the movie thus far. 7 episodes were printed, the rest handwritten, but strangely there's no mention of a principal character in any of them, despite the real-world principal, Meguro, sharing a name with the screenwriter. Oikawa reveals to us that this confirms Meguro was an alien. It's really subtle, they never actually say it, but it's implied through this that this advanced alien life form betrayed his entire species and world and came all the way to Earth to warn us about this impending alien apocalypse, and it got canceled 7 episodes in because it didn't sell well. We're given a neat montage of both teams discussing how Showa Zebraman was a warning from Meguro, who betrayed his species and fought them alone, hence his protectiveness of the children at his school prior. Being a reformed monster, he knows all too well the dangers present on the streets. So this is uncanny. Anything goes, in this context, means that if Ichikawa believes in himself, anything is possible, despite the absolute horror of the world, even flying. Also, it's the theme song of Kamen Rider O's, which came out 6 years later and is also made by Toei. So, what? One of the Defense Department agents reveals himself to be an alien spy. We get a badass, grotesque transformation sequence straight out of Shin Kamen Rider, and then he just turns into a flubber baby, and he gets flame thrown into a train. No, come on, man, that's funny. I was expecting him to turn into like a spidered man or something, you know? Yeah, because that would have been cool. Oh my god, but we already have that all throughout the rest of the movie. That's what makes it a punchline. Ichikawa gets caught taking money from the family fund by his son Kazuki, saying that heroes need bikes. He apologizes and his son looks on lonely. Ichikawa doubles back, asking Kazuki to look after his mom and sister, offering the respect that Kazuki never gives him. Kazuki stands, reciprocating, the two now slowly understanding what it is to be a family through Ichikawa's lens of tokusatsu. Then there's a funny training montage of Zebraman preparing his body for the events to come that I will not spoil for you. Ichikawa reads through the unproduced Zebraman scripts, discovering that he dies in the finale because he can't fly and the Earth is invaded. He sets out to train in the mountains like a real salaryman. He asks Kana if she thinks he can fly, and she remains silent, then hugs him and says Shinpei believes in him, so he should fly for Shinpei. Setting out again, he gives it one last try, managing to hover for a moment in the air like Wile E. Coyote before plummeting. Oh my god, why is this movie so fucking good all the time? This is great because it's Kana setting boundaries for their relationship. Ichikawa wants her to fix all of his problems for him because he's a baby boy, and that's how baby boys see women, is as mother wives. But instead, she's saying, you can't do this for me, you have to do this for yourself, for your legacy, for the next generation of people who look up to you as their teacher, as a hero. You can't change for other people, you change for yourself because you see that you've upset the people that you love, and you don't want to do that anymore. It has to come from a genuine place. That's what compassion is. And that is Zebraman's superpower. Oikawa discovers Zebraman passed out in a river and buys him a soda. The two catch up and it's honestly really cute. They have great chemistry in this scene and it's just a nice little human beat in all of the alien chaos. Hey, you did it! You did a criticism! Thanks, I learned it from watching you. Wanna make out? 1000% I do. Big Ichijo energy, I swear to god, this whole scene is so badass. It is, I really like his little bike. Right? It's so cute! They're so cute. Zebraman and the aliens fight, and Zebraman reaches for his mask in desperation, evolving and attaining a new form. He makes quick work of his foes, who reform into a massive jello kaiju as he flees to the rooftops with Shinpei. Zebraman saves Asano, who tells him to fly and fight the aliens, but Ichikawa still doesn't believe in himself. Asano says fuck this shit and crawls out of his chair, pulling himself to his feet. This little badass doesn't need superpowers to stand despite his physical limitations. He says fuck that. This is real life. Look at me, you horse-ass fuck. You can achieve the impossible. See, isn't this so much better a use of his time than projecting all of his own insecurities into petty insults about shitty children's movies that he watches? Zebraman finally forgives himself for his life, taking flight and liberating Shinpei, returning him to Nurse Lady. He faces down the head alien, which forms part of itself into a laser pistol, which seems like an unnecessary amount of effort to convey to the audience that it shoots lasers now. Zebraman flies into the blast in a traditional key battle fashion, and then he becomes a zebra Pegasus and shoots lasers out of his face and carves a giant Z into the alien's head, and it explodes, like in Fist of the North Star. Was he a horse the whole time? Zebraman stands triumphantly in the moonlight over the city, presumably as fucked up by the preceding events as we are. Ichikawa is transported by the Defense Department to speak at a press conference in shackles. Oikawa says that this was the first time in years that he's had fun giving him his outfit before they head out. Zebraman is immediately overwhelmed by the adoration of the public, a stark contrast to their earlier reactions with the kids. He hears his wife and daughter talking about how hot and cool he is, respectively, mind you, this isn't one of those Takashi Miike movies, before sharing a knowing glance with his son. The Asanos are at the head of the crowd, with Shinpei now on crutches, inspired to come see his hero. As he appears on stage, Ichikawa breaks the handcuffs, representing how he broke himself out of the bondage of his life by embracing self-love, flying into the freedom of a future he never imagined, where anything he wants is achievable. Zebraman is an incredible film, and I am very happy that I gave it a second chance. What I once dismissed as a gritty mockery of Power Rangers was, upon further examination, a grounded but fantastic exploration of what it means to be compassionate in a cruel world. Ichikawa is hugely relatable whether you're a fan of the genre or not. He's an incredibly kind person who questions the status quo rather than accepting it despite his personal feelings of inadequacy instilled in him by his family and his community. It's a testament to a positive attitude without dismissing the reality of living in the lower class. The entire supporting cast is also phenomenal, and they all subvert their archetypes in pleasant and very surprising ways. I appreciate how, despite it covering some very intense subject matter, it never feels gratuitous or misogynistic or ableist. It takes an absolute master of risque material to employ so much of it without even treading a line of hurting the audience that it represents, but this is one of the finest examples that I have ever seen. It's the sort of film that makes me realize how much further I still have to go on my own journey, how much others still have to teach me, whether it be about film or about life. In a lot of ways, Zebraman is the Walter Mitty of tokusatsu, the daydreamer escaping the firing squad through his imagination. The attention to detail in the direction, the cinematography, the technology employed all come together to perfectly recreate both the aesthetic and the theming of Showa Kamen Rider. It's very clear that Miike has a deep adoration for both Kamen Rider and tokusatsu as a medium that I just never recognized about him, and it is not lost on me the irony that he was the Ichikawa that I've been overlooking all this time. It's weirdly heartwarming and recontextualizes his entire library to me. I'm very excited to go further through it and see what other gems I turn up, what other concepts I missed in the dramatic whirlwind of adolescence. So what would you rate it? I don't really rate media. Film is a discussion. It's a conversation between a director and an audience. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Of course he did. Well, this was a lot of fun, but can you take me back to my time now, or? I'm afraid not, my friend, for now comes the fun part, where I break you down into your core essential elements, and I rebuild you into something halfway worth a damn. I don't really want to do that. And much like Zero One, most of this character development will be happening off-screen, save for the occasional reference joke. This is a movie review channel. If I want to post a comedy sketch, I'll just post a comedy sketch. I'm not going to waste your time when I'm trying to talk to you about stuff, okay? Honestly, the only reason I wrote the whole skit thing into this one is because I wanted to test out a green screen effect for the movie that I'm working on, and it just sort of happened to overlap with my relationship with Zebraman. I think it turned out alright. I kept him sort of out of focus to try to be like, oh, he's from 2004, so he's an SD. I'm wasting your time. I'm gonna do the end card now, okay? I'll see you later. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you would like to watch Zebraman, it is currently hosted on Tubi, as is the sequel, Zebraman 2, Attack on Zebra City, which we will be discussing in the next video. If you would like to stay up to date with the channel and page, my Facebook and my Twitter will be in the description below. If you would like to contribute directly and keep the show running, my Patreon and my Ko-fi will additionally be in the description below. Additionally, we now offer merch. Our Zaya pin line has been doing exceedingly well, and we have many more interesting items to come down the line, all of which will be available at the newly minted ZayaEnterprise.com. Website still under development, give it a week or two. Now is around when you should start seeing recommended videos and a subscribe button pop up. Please feel free to like, comment, share if you are so inclined. But that's the video. For now, I've been Tim Shields, and when it comes to tokusatsu, I'm your guy.